Well, hello everyone. My name is Ira Pope Sage, and today I'm going to share with you a glimpse into my perspective. This key class that I teach here in Las Vegas in my loft. I do one-on-ones and very small batch classes here, and then I can go into your salon if you're ever interested, or your school. But to make sure I get some things covered first, the donation, if you choose to donate, that's going towards the. It was a foundation that basically is going towards Come Up for Down Under, which myself and a bunch of other hairdressers and some different businesses here in Las Vegas came together and did a really great event in February. And our goals was to create 10,000 for the World Wildlife Foundation. And originally it was for the fires basically in Australia. Of course, the fires are over with, but animals still exist. The world wildlife still exists. And there's still a lot of rebuilding to be done. So, and we didn't quite reach our goals. So I thought I'd go ahead and put it up on here if you guys had heart and love for animals like myself or anything of that manner. It's greatly appreciated. That's into hair. What I'm going to share with you today is a round layered haircut. Basically, this is like a end version. As a goal version, yeah. So this was cut in a previous live, and then I simply just let it air dry, and this is the haircut. So you can kind of see it's symmetrical. I left the bangs on the longer side, but symmetrical. It just works very, as you can see on the profile. When you're looking at it up and down, you get great volume with it. It's quite elongated due to the fact that I also disconnect. And I'll share that with you. And that's also why you see it's not like super thin all through here. Yeah, I disconnect that to keep it a little bit firmer. So it's one thing that I do utilize disconnection a lot into things to give a different result. Yeah. So to give you guys a quick download on the clock concept, basically what I want to ask of you to do is think about the head as a clock. Think about a clock, an analog clock on a wall. Take it off the wall, put it on the floor, have it face upward. Yeah. Take one of those hands off the clock as well. Think about the nose then as being 12 o'clock, the right ear as being 3 o'clock, the back ears being 6 o'clock. I'm sorry, back ear. There's no such thing as a back ear, guys. At least it shouldn't be. The vertebrae as 6 o'clock, and the left ear, that is, as 9 o'clock. So 12, 3, 6, 9. Those are the primary hours. Just like with color, there's primary, secondary, and tertiary. I created this clock concept, and I don't like the word tertiary, so there's no tertiary hours on this, but there are secondary hours. And the secondary hours are the hours in the middle, the hour directly in the middle of the primary hours. So between 12 and 3, if they were to start walking or get an Uber and go at the same pace, they would meet right at the front right corner of 1:30. Yeah, and it's 1:30 because obviously if it was 1 o'clock, it'd be too close to 12. And if it was 2 o'clock, it'd be too close to 3. 1:30 is the proper middle. Yeah, so right at 1:30 is the front right corner, secondary hour. 4:30, 7:30, 10:30. I hope you all can see that. Yeah, so those 8 hours give us an understanding of an indicator to let you know what time you cut it as for what shape you're going to acquire horizontally from front to back. Yeah. So in that manner, if you were to working that concept, if you were to pull everything back to 6 o'clock, it would be shortest at 6, longer towards 12, triangular, A-line, Karen, call the manager, call it what you want. That's what it's going to do. Yeah. If we pull everything to 12 o'clock and cut everything at 12 o'clock, it would be shortest at 12, longer towards 6. Again, round, shag, mullet, call it what you want. That's what it's going to do. I'm not concerned about the names. I'm concerned about what it does. Yeah. If we were to pull everything back and cut it at the secondary hour of 4:30 in this corner here, it'd be shortest at 4:30, longer towards 12 on the 3 o'clock side, and even longer towards 12 on the 9 o'clock side because there's further time travel. Yeah. So therefore it'd be asymmetric. And that gives an understanding. I hope you can see then with that, the understanding of, again, side-to-side movement over direction, utilizing this clock concept as per what time you cut at, or times, as per what shape you're looking to acquire horizontally. Now, the next thing that I play with, or the next thing we're going to play with today is the vertical dimension. Yeah, and the vertical dimension, so you basically have horizontal dimension and vertical dimension. Horizontal dimension, we work with the 8 hours, 12, 130, 12, 3, 6, 9, 134, 37, 30, 10, 30. And then with the vertical dimension, we're playing more so on time of day. So not so much on the time, but time of day. I'm more of a night owl. I'm not much of a morning person, to be honest. So to me, if it's before 12 o'clock, if it's before noon, I'm much heavier, I'm tired, I'm building up weight, I'm in graduation land. And I keep it very simple. Looking at that, if a section of hair, if I pull a section of hair out, and if it's parallel to the floor and the ceiling, that's right at noon. If it's earlier than noon, any bit earlier than noon, again, as I mentioned, I'm heavier, I'm building up weight, I'm in graduation land. At noon, I'm kind of safe. I'm kind of in that one random little limbo land for one whole minute. From 12 to 12:01, it's kind of in a little bit of a not really reducing weight, not gaining weight. And as soon as it gets above, anything up above towards the ceiling, no longer pillar to floor ceiling, up towards the ceiling, that's above noon. That's reducing the layers, that's in layer length. Yeah, if he's kicking, you're having much more fun. And that's what this haircut was. Everything was cut on this haircut. Everything was cut between 12 and 6 o'clock. It was cut round, so it's shorter in the front, longer towards the back, so it's concave. Everything was brought into the center of 12 and 6 o'clock, so it's also concave from 3 to 9, because it also will softly go shorter to longer, shorter to longer. Of course, concave opposes the head shape, convex follows the head shape, yeah? So we are opposing the head shape, building up length throughout the shape, and a really nice shape that you can blow dry so many different ways. It's great for your curly haired clients. It's great for creating volume. It's just a really all around, it's truly probably your number one most used haircut in salon for sure. So I hope you guys like this, and I'm going to do this in basically a 7-section haircut. So it's super time friendly. Thank you, buddy. I'm going to do this in a 7-section haircut. So extremely salon friendly. I educate, but I'm also a salon hairdresser. I actually just came from the salon. I'll be going right back to the salon after this. So I educate, but I am a salon hairdresser. So I do know that there's certain times where speed is important. I'm a very slow hairdresser. So, and I'm a very slow hairdresser with, I like to think a lot of integrity. So with that in mind, I don't like to necessarily cut corners, yeah? So I need to make sure that ways that I can make time speed up but still have high value, yeah, and high quality, hopefully. So with that in mind, I went ahead and combed this first to speed up the time because there wasn't no need to see me comb this. The one thing that I want to say with this combing is you want to have this section be about the width of a finger, and it's basically looking to be in between, because it's looking to be symmetrical. Yeah, it's going to be balanced on the 3 o'clock side and the 9 o'clock side. Fingers crossed. And with that then, so it's right in between the brows, right on up. And what I did is I combed everything back from the back to the front. So that was very easy to comb through. Yeah, especially for your younger hairdressers. Combing that and grooming it so that we can do it in one swipe as opposed to going like 1 inch drag. A little bit more and a little bit more and keep getting resistance. I'm not a fan of resistance, yeah? I like things to work and be very quick and easy and efficient, truly. So the one thing I want to share with this is, the one thing I find to be quite important is the squatting, yeah? So I see a lot of people, if they start to get lower into the head, they comb and then they do like this. And as soon as you bend over this way, put that booty out over here, you're going to also likely trace and draw a line to that curve too, yeah? So that's why I personally recommend having a decent like spread of the legs when you're drawing this in, and draw it and squat down as you go down. So that way it stays center of the body and it stays straight, yeah? Because what you want is just like this, just a nice straight from front all the way to back little strip there, yeah? So I'm going to take that, I'm going to re-moisturize things. So I find, which I'm going to share with you guys too, with this clock concept, yes, it's important for the hair cutting where we put the hair, but it's also extremely important with our body position and where we put our body. Yeah, our body starts it all, yeah? Our body's so important, and everything at the root is even more important than sometimes the hair in our fingers that we're cutting off. If our body and the roots aren't right, you can cut and it's never going to be right, or at least not your intended goal. Yeah. Yep, so we're gonna be mindful of that. I comb and section this while staying at 6 o'clock, and then I'll go ahead and bring my body on over to 3 o'clock. I am a right-hander. Yeah, this is my left hand. I'm a right-hander, so I don't show the screen showing backwards or not. It might show on your left side, but this is my right hand. So again, the right ear's always 3 o'clock. It's another reason why I like this clock concept. It's consistent. There's no change. Nose is always 12. The right ear is always 3, 6, and 9. Yeah, so that way, no matter what angle or perspective you're looking at, you don't need to be like, is that your right side? Is that my right side? It's the right side. Yeah. So stand at 3 o'clock then for the right-handers. If you're not grown up yet, sorry, just kidding. But if you're a left-hander, you would stand at, I would recommend you standing at 9 o'clock because right-handers hold the hair, I'm sorry, left-handers hold the hair in their right hand and they cut with their left hand. Yeah. So I recommend always, no, maybe not always, for the most part, keep it a practice and a mind thought that you always have, you'll have a much smoother result if you cut from your short to your long. If you're ever cutting, there's times to cut from your long to your short, but if you're lifting the hair up and cutting from your long to your short, it's not a very fluid movement. You got a lot more like armpit up. It's not as pleasing on the body, the client, or just the fluid line, truly. Yeah. So in this situation, as a right-hander, I'm going to come over to 3 o'clock. I'm going to stand at 3 o'clock. I'm going to comb this up. I need to decide where I want to start this length at. Yeah. Where I want to start to open up the curtains, the drapes here, whatever you want to call them, this front area. I'm going to take a look and say right around lip chin area. And this is the one cool thing you're going to see. I'm going to say lip chin area, and it always goes longer because of things, but I can take a look at that and say lip chin area. So then I can take a look at how much hair is coming off at lip chin area. And this is an important thing to share. I look at how much hair is coming off because that's where the starting point is at. Where if I was going like tomorrow's class, tomorrow's going to be a whole different scenario. And it's a different deal of what I'm looking at. But in this situation, I'm looking at how much is cut off. So that amount cut off, I can see on that, is definitely more than my comb, about an inch or so more than my comb. So I can gather that, come up. I want to stay, some different points that I'll recommend. I want to stay 100, just like the emoji with the 2 lines under it. So I'm going to want to make sure that I stay 100% all your fine tooth or 100% all your wide tooth, whatever your comfort zone is. I just don't recommend making it like 80-20, 80% of your wide and 20% of your fine, or vice versa. Yeah, keep it 100 as much as possible. Standing at 3 o'clock, comb that hair up. And in this situation, again, our idea is working with round layers, concave round layers, and they are going shorter in the front then, round layers meaning shorter in the front, longer in the back. I want to share with you a couple things that we get to see. One, I'm going to turn it this way so you guys can see the first thing I'm looking at. So the first thing I'm looking at, while I'm standing here at 3 o'clock, what I can see then is my dimension and my movement between 6 and 12. Yeah, that's what I'm able to see. That's the perspective of which I have. Yeah, so take a look at that perspective, and you want to make sure that the hair is always basically straight up. Yeah, it's parallel to the windows and the walls. There's no sweat dropping off of anything. Yeah, so I'm not shifting towards 12 o'clock, nor am I shifting towards 6 o'clock. If I were to shift in any hour though, since it's a round shape, if you were to shift and be safe, you would shift towards 12 o'clock, not towards 3 o'clock. Yeah, just want to make sure that that's straight. Otherwise, if you shifted towards 12 o'clock or towards 6 o'clock, and then you did a line like this, you lift it up, it'd still be straight. Yeah, so it wouldn't even have the angle. We're looking to create that angle in there. So comb this straight up. Also, another thing to keep in mind, almost imagine as though you have 4 magnets, and all four of these magnets have equal power. All 4 of these magnets are, the hair is attracted to those 4 magnets. Just like my tongue to that hair. And also, those magnets are at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So if I were to lift up this section of hair then, and this was attracted to those magnets, every time, almost like a really nice Dyson blow dryer and their attachments, click, it would just click in and it would sit right there perfectly straight up. I could see that this was straight up then. It wouldn't lean to 12, it wouldn't lean to 9, it wouldn't lean to 3, and it certainly wouldn't lean to 6 either. Okay. That all said, I hope that you're good with that. We're gonna take this comb 100 with our fine tooth, comb right on up. Again, I know that that's about the amount right there. I can kind of pull this up and kind of see, yeah? So I wanna make sure I got my angle in there. So I'm gonna do this first section where you guys kind of see it on this side here. So you can see that it's then, I can see again here that I'm not leaning 12, I'm not leaning to 6, and then I take a look at the mirror. The mirror is a very good indicator. It's a tool that I highly recommend, yeah? So I can see that good. I'm not leaning to 9, and I'm not leaning to 3. So I comb that up. Yeah, there we go. Get my angle in there, good. And then I go through with the tips of my scissor, and I am using the Monarchs today. It's what I've been using for a year or so now, I guess. And I go ahead and drop that first bit. You only need a little bit of your guide. This is one thing I see a lot of people do. See, I just cut all of that right there. And what I see a lot of people do is they grab all of that again for your next section back. And now you've got all of this in your sweet zone of your finger. And then you're starting to cut past the second knuckle already. Yeah. Another thing with 100, I want to make sure that today, at least, I'm really focusing on cutting simply just between like the fingernail to that second knuckle. That's the sweet zone. That's your most pure, clean, tensioned, loving area for a nice, solid, clean line. If you go past the knuckle, you start to lose your tension. Therefore, you start to lose the consistency in the line. Or you can, sorry, lose the consistency in the line. Not a guarantee, you may get lucky. Who wants to play with luck? Okay. Straight up again. I can see you was in at 3 o'clock. This is straight up. I have just a little bit of guide because that's all I need. That's perfect. I make sure I keep my angle in there right. I check the mirror. I'm good. I'm not leaning to 12 or 3. I'm not leaning to, to 9 or 3. I go ahead and work, and I work right at the second knuckle and I stop. I take a little bit again and drop that over. I continue back. Take this. Come straight up again. Go just a little bit more forward. There we go. Take that, go straight up again. I have just a little bit of guide again. I'm good. I can see that I'm not leaning to 12 or 6. I'm not leaning to 9 or 3. I can continue. Okay. And I'm continuing this all the way down that whole strip until it no longer reaches into the shape that we're working at. It would be infinite. Yeah. And you wouldn't have to make it infinite, but in this situation, we're going to. Follow it through, and you can see there's just a little bit that falls back into there. Keep everything in place. I'm not leaning into 12. I'm not leaning into 9. Nor am I leaning to over 6 because there's equal powers of that magnet. Now I've gone through and I cut. Let me just check this, and I'll show it to you this way so you can see it. I think I've cut a decently solid straight line. Let me just check it all. Boom. Yep, so far so good. Okay, yep, pretty good, nice, clean, solid, consistent line in there. Now this is gonna be one thing that I really like about hair and what it does and how cool things can be as far as in how they just change. It's so crazy. So I were told when I was a younger hairdresser that if you cut a flat, if your layers were flat, they will fall flat, yeah? I were told that if your layers were triangular, shorter in the back, longer towards the front, they would fall that way. Higher in the back, lower in the front. I were taught that if you cut a round line into place, it would be shortest at front, longer in the back, and it would do the same thing. When it fell down here, it'd be higher in the front and longer towards the back, yeah? It's just the one thing that's pretty awesome that no one ever told me this, and this is awesome. This is one of the things that I love about hair, is really dissecting it and going to the next level of things, going into things that haven't really been thought of a little bit. And so one of the things that and I found out, that's really cool, is check this out. Again, solid line, going shorter or longer, but when I take this and I comb this down, watch this line, it goes, let me get a little bit more, it goes in here from, when I comb this, It's going from, can you see? Oop, let me raise this. Let me raise this for you guys, sorry. There we go. It will go from that solid line that was shorter in the front, longer towards the back. When it falls, that's one thing up here. But down here, it falls short to long and short to long. Yeah, that's pretty wicked, guys, right? Do you have any idea where that's coming from? I can't answer your question, or I can't hear an answer, but I'll answer it for you. What it's coming from is the landscape of the head. This here is the high point of the bangs. Yeah, since it's the high point, it has less distance to reach up here, but it has further distance to reach down here. Since this is much lower, even though it's cut shorter, it has much less distance to fall here, so it actually falls in shorter into long, right in that front, you can see right there. Shorter into long, and then short into long. Pretty cool, I think, on how that flips around. I don't know, I like that kind of nerdy side of things. And then the cool things to me, too, the important stuff, is then figuring out how to utilize that. So with that shorter into long, I know that for sure I'm safe. I didn't cut anything shorter than what I planned. Secondly, then I know that it will swing in this way, but then I do the same on this side, so everything will kind of swing in face nicely, and or it can also kick off the face nicely because of the fact that there's the space there. So you can also curve that back nicely. If you want to curve back more, it'll curve back more. I could use this shortest piece to be the guideline for my bangs. If I wanted to take like straight bangs, they could be straight across and this would be my shortest piece. They could be my longest piece in a arch pair bangs, or also my shortest piece in asymmetrical pair bangs. It's really cool, I think, to realize that and to see that and how you can utilize that. And just for clear understanding too, that only happens when there are no bangs. If you notice, she didn't have any bangs before I cut it. If she would have had bangs cut out already, everything that I just said wouldn't have been quite as existent. Then it would be like the old school way: cut flat, get flat, cut triangular, get triangular, cut round, get round. Yeah? So there's that. Now this center guide, this center strip that we cut, is going to be our guide then for the 3 o'clock side and the 9 o'clock side. Yeah? So first I'm going to bring it over to the 3 o'clock side. So I'll just move it on over. I'll take the clip out of my 3 o'clock side there. I'll take and re-moisturize everything, so that way everything's nice and consistent, have nice equality in the hair. There's good slip, there's good weight in the hair, and I get good control. Okay, so now what we're gonna do.
Looks great, man. 25 minutes to go.
Okay, thanks, Bo. So now what we're gonna do is comb that down. I'll bring my body over to 4:30 to the back right corner, secondary hour of 4:30, and I comb to myself right back here to 4:30. And the reason I comb to 4:30 is I want to create a diagonal back section, and I want the diagonal to be as even as possible. I don't want it to be like a vertical diagonal. I don't want it to be like a horizontal diagonal. I want it to be really, as much as possible, true diagonal that's got a balance of up and down and left and right. Yeah, so by standing at 4:30, that really helps for that because it's right at the corner. So that's a diagonal position of sorts. So I find the diagonal position here. I stand at 4:30, comb back. I find where 3 o'clock's at the ear. I go up here. I go put my finger right there, put my comb there, and then I just comb back to me. And then I come across here. And I bring, oh, well, that was ugly. Sorry, guys. Take this right on back. I haven't done that in a long time. Okay. I don't like if I have some hairs out of place, they drive me mad. So there we go. There we go. So I go through, and I'm gonna comb this all up towards the center. Everything is gonna be combed into the center on this haircut, towards the guideline. Yeah, which would then, of course, not of course, but what that will do then is make it then concave from 3 to 9. It's opposed in the head shape. And I'll just give you a little view of that back area. This is how that looks in that back area. So just straight across, coming right on up, and then I'm gonna cut this side while facing your mirror, and then I'll cut the 9 o'clock side where you can see it on a profile a little bit more. So I comb this on up. Again, making sure that everything's straight up. And this is the cool thing. I'm gonna go this way for a minute. This is the cool thing with this is that, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that right there? I'm not sure if you can, but either way, there's a little tip right here that doesn't have any hair covering it because of the diagonal back. So that's a really nice thing for especially young hairdressers. You get a very clear understanding of where your guide's at. So the clearer you are with your guide, the more control you have of your shape, which I really like too. So combing that right on up. I'm going to go ahead and split it. Just because this viola head is not a small one. Thank you, Pivot Point. I love these violas. But it's got a lot of real estate there, so I'm gonna just cut it in half. I can make sure that I'm not leaning to 12 or 9 while I'm standing, or 12 or 6 while I'm standing here, and I can make sure it's not leaning into 9 or 3 while I look in the mirror. There's my guide, and I can go through and cut through. That's that. Bring the rest right on into it. Coming into the guide. Just a little bit back here, making sure that I'm not leaning to 9 or 3. There we go. I come right back to 430. I go about where the high point of the bangs are at there, and I diagonal back again while standing at 430. I take this and draw across another horizontal line in the back, and take this once again, and I comb this up. Comb this up. Again, with the width of things and the real estate, I'm going to go ahead and split her just for the respect and the control manner. Making sure, again, while I'm here, that all those hairs, I'm checking those roots to make sure all those hairs are in there and groomed in there nicely. I comb up. I make sure I'm not leaning to 12 or 6. I make sure I'm not leaning in 9 or 3. I'm good. And then I can go through and cut, cut, cut. And it's just a little bit back here. Make sure I'm not leaning in 9 or 3. And I cut. I come right on back to this time. I comb that whole front area and comb it straight back to 6 o'clock. I'm going to take and disconnect right at the corner of the head, at the round of the head, sorry. So between the top, I can put the top like this, and I can put my hand here or my comb here, and either way, just put it right to the head. So like this, put the head, that's where the corner's at. So I'm going to go right to the corner. There, let that go down, maybe just a little bit lower because that seems a little bit high. Okay, right there. Take that, and then I comb this right on up. Take that. Comb that right on into the center, into your guide again, between 12 and 6 o'clock. Making sure again that I'm not leaning towards 12. I'm not leaning towards 6. And then also, I check that mirror to make sure I'm not leaning towards 9 or 3. I'm leaning only towards the center. And I can go through and cut. Okay, just finishing this last little bit in there. Getting it up there, not leaning towards 6 or 12, just straight up. There we go. There we go. And not leaning towards 9 or 3, everything's good. And then go through and cut, cut. Just make sure everything's in there good. And there it is. Okay, so the 3 o'clock side is sorted. We can take a look to see, we can take a look to see how it's doing visually. I can see then already just a nice good opening of things through here happening. When I look through on this, I don't see any heavy like choppiness, any weight lines, anything like that, because again, it's more concave, so it helps to fill and leave more hair towards that bottom area truly. So therefore, you won't have any heavy weight lines. It become much more like a blended kind of like buttery fluid layers, all that kind of stuff. No heaviness in itself, truly. I can take a look for the cross checkers out there. I can take a look on a cross check, and on a cross check, what I ought to see is it ought to be either flat to slightly higher towards the outside. Yeah. So I comb this on up. I check the 3 o'clock side while staying at 12 o'clock. Comb this up, make sure I'm straight up, and there we go. A nice shorter to softly longer length there. So that's a quality position there, what we want to see. If you see it go like higher than lower, then go like that way, that means you didn't make it all the way to your guide. You didn't comb into your guide. That means you were still on that 3 o'clock side. If the guide is really short and then all of a sudden it gets longer and then goes short to long, that means that you went past your guide. If it was short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, take a break, reestablish yourself, because that was a really somehow not a good day for you. Yeah. But it'll be a good learning experience for sure. The first attempt in failing is the first attempt in learning. Please remember that. Okay. So I'm going to comb this, stand right back at 6 o'clock. I got to find my guide in that center area. That's going to be my guide for the 9 o'clock side now. Yeah. So I comb this all straight back in. I come in here again. And here's that squat that I was talking about. I just squat down to make sure that the line stays straight. Line stays straight. I got a nice round booty. Just kidding, not important. Well, maybe important, but not for this haircut. Okay. I'll take, just for respective things, twist this forward again, get that hair out of the way, and then what I'm going to do is just take my 9 o'clock clip, bring it over to the 3 o'clock side, and there she goes. She's clipped out of the way. I can take this guide that's here, and now I join it over to the 9 o'clock side, just like I did before, joining it to the 3 o'clock side. I'm going to, again, introduce some more moisture for some consistency. Again, slip, control, equality. And also making sure, in that manner of equality, making sure I'm not only just spraying the ends or just the top of the hair, I'm spraying the inside of the hair, I'm spraying the roots, I'm spraying the base, all of the hair. Again, equality as much as possible. Now what we're going to do, the beautiful thing is we're going to simply reverse everything. Where I was staying at 4:30 to comb everything and section off, now I'm going to stand at 7:30, comb this back to 7:30, comb these hairs back to 7:30 again, just like I did before. Comb it to 4:30, now I'm combing to 7:30. Once they're back here to 7:30 and everything's in a good spot, I can comb through a couple times and it's nice. Then I know I can go through and feel confident to find 9 o'clock. Here's 9, diagonal back, come over, crossed, again. Now come up to the center, just like we did before, combing everything to the center. Everything's center. One thing we did, I'm gonna just be mindful and do the same thing again. Section that off. I'll do it in 2, just for the real estate of this head shape. Coming straight up again, making sure that I'm standing at 3 o'clock again. I can see them not leaning towards 12 or 6. I check the mirror.
Ira, can we see this one from a different angle, this side, please?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
That's exactly what I meant to do. You're totally right. Thank you. So I'm gonna take this, comb this straight up. So again, you guys can now see that if it was lean towards 12 or lean towards 6, yeah? So I can take a look there. I'm not leaning towards 12 or 6, it's straight up. And I can take a look at the roots to make sure I'm not leaning there so I don't have a mirror there. And then I go through and cut this through right to the second knuckle again. Take that bottom. Pulling up. Making sure I'm not leaning towards 12 or 6. A little bit towards 12, so let me make this back there. There we go. That's more right. And then we're going just do this little bit. Just check that, just make sure it's good. Yes, everything's good there. Cool. Stand right back on over to 7:30. Show them at 7:30. Stand at 7:30. Find the high point, the bangs. Diagonal back again. Go across again. And again, there's that diagonal back that you see there. Again, I'm gonna split this for the sake of the real estate of Viola's head. She's got a high quality, nice sized head. Coming straight up again, making sure I'm not leaning towards 12 or 6. Check there to make sure I'm not leaning towards 9 or 3. Cut through. Continue back just to see if there's anything back there. Probably shouldn't be a whole lot, if anything. Yeah, nothing there really. Just, yep, those are just random doll hairs. So then come right on back here. I'll keep this in this position so you guys can see this, I guess. On the straight back towards 6. Again, finding my corner. Take that, put that back. And again, come towards the center. Towards the center. Fix, make sure that I'm properly in between 3 and 12, 3 and 9. Find my guide, cut those hairs. And now I'm just gonna get one last little check on that, make sure I got them all in there. Yeah, I was just gonna say there's probably just a couple right in that mid spot. And there are, right through there, perfect. Cool, that's good. Take this down. Now on this 9 o'clock side, we would check it while standing at 6 o'clock. The reason I stand it while standing at 6 o'clock is because the fact that you can see like on the fingers, it's kind of skinnier here and wider here, or it kind of looks like there's an angle that goes down there. I want to make sure that I check that properly then. So if the tip of my finger and the wide spots on the outside here, and the skinny parts here to the center, I need to make sure I check it the same way, yeah? So now in this situation then, I check the 9 o'clock side, I would stand at 6 o'clock. Again, it ought to be either flat to longer to the outside, either one. It should not be in a situation to where we're gonna be like higher and shorter, yeah? And again, a flatter line. This side, I will say I did a better job of getting right to, yeah? Because this one's a little bit more on the flat side where there's a slight highness on the side. So it probably means I basically was more sound of over-directing right directly to this point. And what I may have done also, because I was a little bit, just to be 100%, I was a little bit wide on that first one. So I maybe went a little skinnier on this, but it's all good. Either way, she loves it. So I'm gonna calm this down, and then I take this one out. I comb through. I get some moisture in here to make sure all the hairs are, again, well sorted, all in good place.
Looks great, man. Looks great. We've got like 10 minutes or so, so you're good.
Excellent.
You're great.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do now is just go through and actually find the proper center spot as far as that 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock line. Because before, which I didn't exactly mention, but I hope it was clear to understand, the 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock line was right in the middle of that first section. Make sure I have a little bit of the 3 o'clock and a little bit of the 9 o'clock. That's why that allows you to have good balance, yeah? So get separate right off that center area there, comb through, kind of get a good little understanding of what's going on with the haircut, as far as combing it, checking it, get a visual check on it, seeing what it's doing visually. Because to me, that's, you know, especially being a salon hairdresser, that's really what's most important, is that the hairs are doing similar things, yeah? If they're not doing similar things, that means your client has to do a lot to work to make them do similar things. And also, that means they're going to start to feel insecure, thinking that they've got issues, when I'm sorry, guys, most of the time, it's our issues. I'm sorry. take responsibility. And for the most part, I'm seeing that both of these sides are coming in there nicely, so that's good and consistent. That's solid. Yeah, and so now at this point, truly, and again, I like to generally, in a lot of situations, I like to go through and keep these disconnected through here. And what that does, it allows me then with my clients that if they want me to frame more, I can frame it down low, below noon, so there's a heavier frame line. I like a heavier line. I don't generally like softer lines, one thing. So if I chose to frame this, so I could work off of, say, that length there if you wanted to frame, then I have all this to frame, but I can frame it lower so that way I can have a firmer line. Generally, it's very thin through here. There's a lot of highlighting up through there, breakage, all those kind of things. So it's already in those temple areas much leaner and thinner. So I tend to not go through and get too much into there as far as in elevating it up. If there are any Tony and Guy educators or trainers or anyone that's in the Tony and Guy world, this haircut was taught to me back in the early days of my hairdressing. I used this haircut over and over and over again, for the most part at least, from Tony and Guy back in the day. And they call it natural inversion. I just made a couple different adjustments. One, I teach it and share it in my clock concept. So that's one straight thing right away that I made it kind of like a 2.0 version. I kind of remixed the haircut and made it mine. I teach it within the clock concept, number one. And then number two, I stand at 3 o'clock the whole time. They recommended that to cut the 9 o'clock side or their right side, or I'm sorry, their left side, they would come over to the left side and then go from the high length to the short length. I'm not a fan of that, as I mentioned earlier. So I stay at 3 o'clock the whole time. I utilize the mirror to make sure that I'm at the right place. Yeah. And then, so that's another thing that I do different. And then also what I also do different is I do that disconnection. They didn't disconnect it before back in the day, but this haircut was built back in the, what am I thinking, like the 80s, late 70s kind of feel, as far as when Tony and Guy did it back in the day. So it was a mullety kind of shaggy world, which we are in now. But for so many years, as I was working with this haircut, my clients weren't into mullets or shags, so I never wanted to go through and do that. So I disconnected it to always make it so it wasn't mullety or shaggy. So yeah, this would be either left to just air dry and or diffuse. In either manner, again, as a finished result, this would be much like the finished result of the haircut. We can show, I can show you even with this, like this here, you can see that these are the little disconnections. So they're just minor. They're just minor, but those little disconnections really just help to really just elongate things and really make that contrast of the top layer to the bottom length, which I love to really elongate and spread lines as much as possible, especially now that I'm in this, now that we are all in the social media world where everything is kind of cut and done for a photo so often now. And yes, always number one, cut it for yourself and for your client. Instagram later, yeah. Yeah, in realizing the whole social media world and wanting everything to be photographed, I really like to fill the frame and make things as elongated as possible. So that's why I like to use this connection a lot as well. Tomorrow I'm going to be working with disconnection as well. I'm going to be working with more of a mullety shag shape. I'd love if you were here today, if you enjoyed it today, maybe take a screenshot. If you take a screenshot right now and tag me on Instagram at Ira Pope Sage, that's IRAPOPESAGE, Ira Pope Sage. I would very much appreciate that. I'd love to see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, Hairbrain, but Hairbrain's also a great place. I'll recommend them. But thank you, Shark Friend. Thank you, Willie. Thank you all for being here today. Big love, friends.
Ira, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you're back at work and crazy busy, and it means the world to us. Buddy. So
it's nice to be without the mask on for a while. So I'm happy to breathe real oxygen. Thank you.
Great job. So here comes the fun part. No, that's not true. That was fun. That was a total
good, buddy. Okay.
So here comes the giveaway part, I guess I'll say. So as you're aware from the beginning, we're going to give away a toolkit in this class that's valued over $1,000. So we have the Andis MVLI the Pro Li cordless trimmer. We have Erica from Pivot Point. We have a full set of ergo brushes. And of course, we're throwing in a set of shark fin shears with a razor. So in order to enter to win this, you must text your first and last name to 888-544-7254. So while Ira and Viola are back there headbanging to Amon Amarth, which is fine. I can enjoy it. I'm not upset, right?
No worries, no worries.
Text to enter. We'll randomly select one winner. We actually want to do this live, Ira.
Oh, okay.
So we have a couple minutes left here, so I'm going to give everybody time to text. One winner per event.
Right back.
Yeah, you're good, man. If you win this event, this basket, you cannot win another basket for the next 2 days. Sorry, no double dipping. So our previous 4 winners, you cannot double dip. Nice try. So
I just realized I should definitely let everyone know what I decided to do too with everything that's happened. With my one-on-ones that I teach here, I went ahead and put on a sale that I'm not sure where I'm ending. I'm going to keep it open for a while now, to be honest, and try to help hairdressers as much as I can. My normal price for my one-on-ones, I'm very transparent. My normal price for my one-on-ones is $700. For my one-on-twos are $1,050. My now sale price for my one-on-ones is $400, and my now sale price for my one-on-two is $750. And you can go through and it's only $200 down to hold any available date from June 1 until April of 2021. Yeah, so you have plenty of time if you're in a financial crunch like I was personally just 2 days ago. You have time to then go ahead and hopefully regain your income that you may have lost through this time. I apologize if you have, but to regain it back and to set a date for a further time when you're financially sound again, if you're ever interested.
Spectacular, my friend. So at this point, Ira has a glow going because he's been wearing a mask all day. And I'm ready to eat some hot dogs and tater tots that my wife so politely cooked for us.
Thank you, Amy.
But thank you very much again, Ira. The text messages are still kind of rolling in, so I'm going to kind of let that level off before I announce a winner. With all due respect, though, bro, I get it. You're going back to work. If you need to bounce, by all means, take off.
We got what, 8